Hi, kindergarten. Happy Friday and happy May 1st. I hope you have your note catcher ready. And let's get started. So I want to review with you that Christopher Columbus made his first voyage to America in 1492. Okay, and once people found out about his trip, a lot of people were very interested in going to the Americas and they wanted to go too. So a lot of people planned their own trips to get there so that they could see this new land and see what it was like. And lots of different groups of people did that. But today we're going to learn about a new group of people called the Pilgrims. Say Pilgrims. And these people traveled to the Americas about 100 years after Christopher Columbus did. So they went there. Christopher Columbus had already died, and they made this plan to go there. But they decided to go there for different reasons than he did. Okay? And when Christopher Columbus died, he still thought that he had reached the Indies because no one had proved him wrong yet. But a few years later, some other explorers made the trip and they proved him wrong, that they found out that that's not the Indies, that was actually the Americas. Okay, so he died thinking that he had actually found Asia like he thought, but he was wrong. Okay? All right. Now, today you're going to hear a story about a group of people called pilgrims. Pilgrims were not always called pilgrims, and that's because the word pilgrim means someone who makes a very long journey far from home. And when this story first begins, the pilgrims had not left home, so they were not called pilgrims yet. They were called separatists. Say separatists. Listen very carefully to the read aloud to find out why the separatists wanted to leave England. Okay? This is called Colonies and Native American Lands. Do you remember which country's king and queen helped Columbus sail across the ocean from Europe? Who remembers? Who were the king and queen who helped give Columbus money so that he can make his voyage to the Americas? Columbus was one of the first explorers to visit what they called the New World, but after Columbus's voyages, many other countries in Europe began sending their own explorers, hoping to find gold and jewels. Their men sailed westward from France, Portugal, the Netherlands, and England, and for the next 100 years, European explorers and their ships sailed back and forth across the Atlantic Ocean, exploring the continent of North America and updating their maps based on their discoveries. Okay. So, did a lot of other people make the same trip that Columbus did? I hope you know the answer. Did a lot of other people make the same trip? Yes? No. You can still do your thumb up or thumb down. Okay? As time passed, the Europeans began to build colonies in America. Years before, Columbus tried to start a colony in Hispaniola by claiming that the land he discovered belonged to King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella. Now, 100 years later, other Europeans were doing the same thing. In 1607, the English people started one of the first colonies in the New World. They named it Jamestown, after their ruler, King James I. King James was well liked by the English people, but sometimes he used his power badly. As head of the Church of England, King James declared that everyone in his kingdom must share his religion or beliefs. They must all attend the Church of England, the King's church, and pray as the king prayed. The English people had no choice. So do you think this might have made some people unhappy if they had different beliefs from the king? Do you think everybody should have to go to the same church and pray the same way and do everything the same way the king does? Think about that. Now, most people in England followed the king's command, but there were some English people who did not. One group was known as the separatists. The separatists had their own beliefs about how to pray. They were disappointed with the king's church. So they formed their own church and began meeting in homes. Okay, so let's go to our note catcher. Your first question says, what rule did King James have that the separatists did not like? Pause the video if you need to. So you could start it by saying they didn't like that. And make sure you start with an uppercase letter and end with a period. Put finger spaces in between each word. And I'll keep going. Well, when they refused to attend the Church of England, the king was furious or very angry. If you miss the Sunday worship service, he told them, you will pay a fine or money. And he warned them, if you continue to miss church services, I will command my soldiers to arrest you and throw you in jail. You can imagine how upset the separatists became. All right, so let's pause again and look at our next question. It says, how did the separatists anger King James? So what did they do that made King James so angry? You could start by saying they, what? What did they do that made King James angry? The separatists lived in fear of being arrested and thrown in jail. One woman whispered to a friend, I think someone working for the king has been watching our house. Her friend looked around nervously to make sure that no one else was listening and then said, my husband thinks someone has been following us in the streets to see if we are going to our own prayer meetings instead of going to church. Who knows which of us might be next? Okay, and already your last question? It says, what happened to the people who wouldn't go to the Church of England? So if they didn't listen to what King James said, and if they didn't go to church like they were supposed to, what would happen to them? You could start by saying they would be what? Life became harder and harder for the separatists of England. Other people looked at them curiously, and they did not know what to do. So some people were not nice to them, which made the separatists very unhappy about living in England. They heard that people in other countries were able to worship as they pleased. That means that other people had a choice of what religion they wanted to follow and if they wanted to pray and go to church. But they didn't seem like they had a choice. And so the decision was made to leave Europe behind. They would look for a way to reach North America. The separatists were about to begin a pilgrimage or journey to this continent that was brand new to them. From here on, they would be known as the Pilgrims. All right, so that's the end of that one. I have a few more questions for you to think about with your family. The first one says, the English wanted to start a colony in North America. Why do you think they wanted to have colonies in this unknown place? So they wanted to form their own little town in the new land. Why would they want to do that? Okay, talk to your family about that one. And next one, if you were a separatist, how would you feel about moving all the way across the ocean? So these people lived in England and they had to get on a ship and sail all the way to the Americas in the new land and form their own little colony or home there. How do you think these people felt about that? And how would you feel about that? All right, that's the end of that one. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Bye.